Hey, so what's going on? It's the welcome to the episode 28. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah, 28 of the Cellarcast. I had to go check. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of I don't know, neat stuff's happened in the last week. Obviously, it was a big holiday weekend. Uh, we did the live stream. It was a lot of fun. Excuse me. Probably the most active live stream I've had. Uh, oh, jeez. God damn, I ate like 15 minutes ago. I was like, okay, I don't have that much. I'm not gonna burp too much, but guess I was wrong. Yeah, it was really neat, honestly. I guess it's hard the stream was really cool. What's cool about streaming was like I'm playing a game and then I would like tab over to the chat and there's just all these like there's like a couple people and they're just kind of like talking, they're having little conversations, and it was really kind of odd. It was very like, I don't know, it was neat. It was like, oh, I'm like creating this thing that I'm like facilitating this thing that's like connecting some people on New Year's Eve. Or honestly, New Year's for a lot of people because time zone differences. But yeah, so I turned 20. That was kind of cool. Uh, Honestly, I here's a little thing I run into with my birthday is I don't really like care that much about my birthday. Like my birthday doesn't really mean anything to me. And some people probably think that's, I don't know, it's probably very weird to some people, but for me it's just, I don't know, it doesn't hold much meaning for me. So I get put in this weird situation where it's like other people care more about my birthday than I do, which is weird because it's like about me, but it's really about them. It's really odd, and it's, I don't know, it puts me in this weird situation of like, for me it really just feels like any other day. Like nothing really feels that special about it. Uh, Besides the fact that I'm legally a year older. But when all these people, they want to do stuff for me and with me, and I'm like, it's a lot of effort. I don't know. I spent the day. I spent the day with Kat, which was nice. We went to see Spiderman. Uh, well, technically, I saw it and she saw it for the second time, just because I was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really have anything I want to do, so you pick something, and she wanted to go see it again, so we did. And honestly, I didn't even mind. Like, I was really tired when she brought it up to me, and nothing was very palatable, so I was like, oh, we're gonna go see. I was really like moody, I guess, because I was kind of sleep deprived. I was like, we're gonna go see your movie on my birthday. And then I woke up and I was like, wow, I can't wait to go see Spider-Man with my wonderful girlfriend. And actually, I enjoyed it. It was, I liked the fact that the movie did like actually, like, did a lot with the concept. And it wasn't just like, hey, do you remember this thing? You remember that thing, right? Here's this thing again. There was a little bit of that. There's one very overt reference to like a meme that was like, okay, all right, that's pretty forced. Um, but overall, I thought it was actually pretty fun, pretty enjoyable. There's some very distracting ADR in there. There's like two characters who are entirely CG, and I was like, oh, partially like the CG, it wasn't like Groot level. I never really felt like Sandman was really there. And I was like, oh, the lizard is constantly in the dark because it looks better because CG is easier to kind of mask in the dark. Like, in general, it was very good CG, you know. I mean, it's hard to get bad CG nowadays, but it is like, oh, I never... The ADR definitely didn't help, where it was like, the character's voice did not sound like it was in the room. Like, when they were dubbed over, it was very like, okay, that took me out a little bit. I didn't like that very much. It felt kind of like disconnected to me. But honestly, it's not even a big part of the movie. I thought the performances were good. I've never seen any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I've only ever seen the Raimi movies. I think I've seen all of them, at least once. I really like the Raimi movies, like a whole lot. It reminded me like how good the casting is in all of those movies. Like, it's so good. I can't, like, they nailed it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. Willem Dafoe is an amazing Green Goblin. Like, dude, that dude is such a good actor. Like, when he first shows up and he's like this, he does such a good job of, like, when he first shows up, he's almost like this like scared. He really comes across like a kind of like scared, sort of confused, homeless person. You know, I don't want to be like, I don't know, like, was it demeaning, condescending, or anything like that? Like, you know, if you've worked with like homeless people or at food shelters or anything like that, then like you probably know, or even with like the elderly or something, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like, oh, he has this very like, I really like want to. He feels like someone who like you'd really want to help, right? And he's so, like, when he's regular Norman Osborn, he's so likable, or he's so like, I don't know, likable is like weird, because usually when we say likable, it's like someone's charming or something, but he really is like sympathetic or something. Like, there's a scene where, you know, he and Peter are like working on a science thing together. And you're like, whoa, I like this dude so much. There's just like this positive kind of well-meaning energy that radiates off of him. And then like the second he goes into Goblino mode, El Goblino Verde. That was a terrible accent. Oh my god. Like, not just like the most obvious thing is the voice, right? Because he starts doing this. But more so, it's like his entire demeanor changes. Like, his eyes, his like stance, his like his like facial expressions. There's all these like, it feels like method acting almost. Like, you get so, god, like, it's just night and day the way that Willem Dafoe is able to like flip between these two versions of the character. Like, you go from like liking this guy so much to, holy shit, this is like the most evil dude in any Marvel superhero movie ever. He's so fucking evil. He's so evil. And but because you have that like existing endearing quality, you have that like when he's not in goblin mode, you get like, it kind of like enhances the sort of like tragic element of his character, where it's like, oh my god, it's like he is like a good person, he just has this like evil side that he like can't control. And it's like, wow, what a good character, what a good portrayal. Anyway, there's probably some other stuff I could chat about, but this isn't, I don't feel like talking about. There's some other stuff I wanted to talk about today. First up is the comment review. So we got a question last time from Lucy. Now, if you recall, last time I talked about... I don't know why my throat's so phlegmy right now. Talked about hitbox controllers and all that. So he says, I must be one of the few who plays fighters on keyboard, but uses the arrow keys instead of the hitbox type position. I suppose it would be a left-handed equivalent. I always have problems with the ArcSys games because the first time because they automatically choose the buttons in AWSD. Some games I have to move the player 2 keys to use those buttons and not directions. Yeah, I think I've definitely seen that on the config before. Very late, I discovered that I am weird for playing like that. I don't know, maybe it's because I studied keyboard as a boy, and also other instruments at my left and right hand are quite agile. I also prefer 3D fighters with a classic gamepad. Yeah, so I feel... Doesn't Skullgirls default to arrow keys or something? I also grew up on playing on keyboards, but specifically I think I gravitated more towards WASD just because that was like the standard for a lot of PC games. And then I switched over to just replacing W with spacebar, which was a pretty easy conversion. I don't know, like, even how you would... Maybe like a cross-up, which you mentioned later on in the... if you wanted to switch to like a specialized controller, maybe a cross-up. You mentioned that in the later on in a second, but yeah. I mean, ultimately, it just comes down to whatever you're most comfortable with, and if it just so happens that happens to be arrow keys, so be it. But yeah, most people don't assume that's what you're going to be using. It's kind of like playing an FPS and having like inverted camera look. It's like, who are you, Hugo Martin? Sad part of the DNF dual beta is that now every time I watch KOF 15, it looks ugly. I don't think KOF 15 looks that bad, but what I don't like are the particle effects. I think the particle effects look weirdly like liquidy. Like if you look at the fire, it looks almost like magma. It looks like a liquid texture that they plastered like a moving, or sorry, it looks like like the model itself is like a liquid, but then they put like a moving, like wavy, fiery texture over it, and I just think it looks weird. Like it doesn't feel like fire. I have since day one I haven't really liked the way that the game handles like the particle effects. I think that like Dolores, for as how, let's say from a character design perspective, I like Dolores, but man, her God, she uses mud, right? And that's kind of interesting. But I think it just looks really bad. Honestly, like I think it looks bad. It looks so much like it's just a moving texture that is not that is just slapped onto a model, and it doesn't look like it actually fits the move, or I don't know, like it doesn't, it looks kind of cheap is what I'm trying to say. I don't think most of the character designs in the game, particle effects in the game look good. That's my biggest complaint. Characters who don't use a lot of particle effects, I think generally actually look fine. But like, man, watching Kyo gameplay is like, man, it's... I'm like, I wish this game had better looking fire or something like that. Speaking of Hitbox, and seeing the recent legal problems it has, do you consider the cross-up should be illegal? I understand that it gives you a great advantage in Tekken since you can execute input directions at the same time as you perform others. This is really interesting. So I had not heard of this until you actually left this comment. Hitbox... So, if anyone wasn't aware, Hitbox is essentially just a specialized controller for fighting games. It's like an arcade stick, but instead of a joystick, you just have buttons to emulate like a WASD, except up is you hit it with your thumb. You just look it up. There's reasons for that. I explained it last episode, but generally that's what it is. So, Hitbox actually recently... So Hitbox is a brand. It's one of those like Band-Aid situations where it's a brand name that just kind of became the name for that product. So technically, like, I don't know, might call it like a fight box, or digital inputs. Though that's pardon me. Those are not like those are called hitboxes because Hitbox was the first one to be popular, and when other people made their own, or because you can make your own, you can do a DIY hitbox pretty easily. People just call those hitboxes. Like, I just called it a hitbox. So there was another company. So this legal thing is actually kind of interesting. There's another company called Junk Food Arcades, and they were making their own fight boxes. And Hitbox sued them for patent infringement or copyright infringement, saying that they had a patent to the hitbox. And when you look into it, what's really going on is so when you look at the patent, it's very weird because when you actually look at the components that make up a Hitbox brand controller, look at the components. The actual board it's a Brooks Universal PCB. The buttons are from Sanwa. The enclosure is, I don't even think, made by them. I'm pretty sure it comes from like All Fight Sticks or something like that. Really, the only thing that is actually proprietary about the Hitbox is the layout. It is where they decided to cut the holes in the top for the buttons to go in. That's the only thing that they have the patent to, is that layout. So they have a patent for it. And it's like, is that really defendable? Is that going to stand up to scrutiny? It's to me, it feels like... So like, their argument is like, oh, we're like a small company. And they are a small company, to be fair. Just because they're the known brand doesn't mean that they're like huge. Like, just to be clear, like, Hitbox is not a very large company. They have like one tiny warehouse in like somewhere in California. I think like LA or something. They have one tiny little warehouse where they ship all these things out from. And the founder and the creator of the company put like a lot. He went really out on a limb to get this company up and running. And he's basically saying like, you're infringing on our market. I put so much time into this. You shouldn't be able to do that. And honestly, like, from a purely objective point of view, I kind of like don't really care that much. And I'll tell you why. That sounds very, I don't know, cruel, but like, it's just a box, right? This is like if you could patent the shape of a car. Maybe you can, but it seems like kind of silly, right? Like, I'm sure that like every car is like slightly different things. Maybe you can. Maybe if people know cars, I have a friend who's into cars. Maybe I should have asked him about that. But if it feels to me like that's a little silly. Like, is the shape of the car? Maybe in this case of a car, because of aerodynamics, it might actually be able to be proprietary. Let's go with a different example. If you could patent like the shape of, I don't know, like your pencil, like just a pencil. It's like, well, it's kind of just like graphite and wood. And, some tin or whatever you make for the little thing at the end, and some rubber for the eraser. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, the thing that you, quote unquote, like, did is so simple. It's like, should you really be allowed to own that? Because in a way it kind of shuts down competition, because like there's only so many layouts you can have that are comfortable. Like, maybe you can move something over by an inch, you can do this or that, but there's only so many layouts that you can have for buttons that are actually like comfortable to use. So I don't know. And it's like, if you don't want to innovate, then, like, yeah, like, Junk Food Arcades also isn't a huge company. Neither of these are big companies. But, like, like, I don't know. I just don't think that it really stands up to scrutiny. Like, the Hitbox has done some, like, kind of shady stuff from what I understand. They have, like, one thing called they have another product called the Smash Box, which apparently, I remember, like, seeing a video from the guy who supposedly, or he actually, like, approached... The Smash Box was essentially the same thing as a Hitbox, but built specifically for Smash, like, for Melee players, because obviously, the GameCube controller is a fucking nightmare, and things like hand strain, carpal tunnel are, like, very real things for, like, hardcore Melee players. So his idea was like, oh, I want to make something that's more comfortable, that does all the same functions, but it's more comfortable, and it's safer for your hand health. Because I know just from personal experience that, like, I was having problems with hand strain playing fighting games. And then all I did was move my keyboard so that I played with it on my lap, and I just used, like, piano hands, where they were, like, my hands were, like, over the keyboard, or, like, over the keys, not, like, resting on them, just making sure that my wrists weren't bent at an angle. I did that, and it immediately fixed my problem. So, like, just from personal experience, I know that, like, just changing the way that, like, your hands are, or, like, you know, your wrist, just like a little change in how your setup is, can have a huge effect on, like, it can just fix a lot of your problems. Like, maybe, like, damage that's already been done, it's probably not going to heal back, but you can prevent a lot more damage from coming to your hands just with, like, a simple change in the way that you use your controller. So he wanted to do this Smash Box thing, and he approached Hitbox with it because he thought that it was like, oh, this is a good way to, like, expand your market. And then basically he, from what I remember, he basically they went with, like, all these models that were, like, not actually good, like, not actually good for hand strain or wrist strain, and he kept, like, trying to communicate with them that, like, this is not, like, you can't be doing this, until eventually, like, I think he just left the project to make his own, and then they came out with, like, a totally new Smashbox that was basically, like, a copy of what he did. I was like, fuck, let me see if I can find that video. It was like, Smash... It's like, just like Smashbox. I think it was like, fuck, I don't remember. There's a couple, like, videos on it. Yeah, but I don't know, you could go find it. It's somewhere. Yeah, so I was like, I don't know, I wish that, I don't think that Hitbox has as strong of a case as they might like. I don't know if it's going to stand up to scrutiny, and I don't know if it should in this case, honestly. Just for the sake of, like, competition stuff. Maybe that's cruel. I don't know. Other part of his question was, do you consider the cross-up controller should be illegal? First of all, no. So if you don't know, the cross-up controller is essentially like a halfway point between a hitbox and a regular stick. So it's essentially like an arcade stick, except it also has digital input buttons on the right. So you have the stick for movement, and then you have additional keys for movement, up, down, back, forward, you know, left, right, whatever. And it is like a halfway point between the two. Now, I've never used one, but from what I understand, it's actually kind of not as good as a hitbox. It's more so like a transitional point if you've been playing on arcade sticks for you to kind of get more comfortable using digital inputs. So I understand that it gives you a great advantage in Tekken since you can execute input directions at the same time as you perform others. Yeah, so the big thing that people were shocked about with the cross-up is that, namely, so like in Tekken, Kazuya and I think Heihachi and the Mishimas, they have this style. They have this move called the. Let me see if I get this. I'm not a Tekken expert. Let me see if I get this right. The electric. Pretty sure it's electric wind god fist. So the way that move works is it's called a just frame launcher. Just meaning like frame perfect. So essentially the way it works is you do EWGF input. It's like a DP. Yeah, so you hit forward. So it's the same as like a Dragon Punch motion where like forward down. It's like forward down forward. Plus the button, or forward down and then down forward, whatever. You know, it's kind of the same thing. However, after the first forward input, you actually have to let the stick return to neutral. So it's forward, neutral, down, forward button. And if you do that, it goes from like a kind of punishable move, like uppercut move, to super strong, big ass launcher. And that's called the. Pretty sure that's what that is. So that's where it gets the electric part. That's where it becomes electrified. The electric wind god fist. So on a cross-up, so this is kind of considered one of the execution barriers for playing the Mishimas in Tekken. However, with the cross-up, you can just do it super easily, like just banging them out one after the other because of the digital inputs. You can like match them with the your analog inputs, and it makes it easier. So personally, I don't think this is that big of a deal because I don't. Okay, so like this is like a single use. Maybe there's other cases where it does make other things way easier. But I think like in these cases, the only reason this is a problem is because the hitbox was released after Tekken 7 came out. Or sorry, the cross-up was released after Tekken 7 came out. So like the same exact thing happened with the original hitbox. So there's this thing in fighting games, it's called simultaneous opposite cardinal directions, SOCD. And all it means is what happens in the game, how does the game handle it when you hit left and right at the same time? What does the game do when you press up and down at the same time? Because on most controllers, like a pad or an arcade stick, you can't do that. It's not physically possible. However, if you're using a keyboard, if you're using analog or digital inputs, and this was a problem with I'm sure with keyboards well before the hitbox, but it only came to prominence because the hitbox was something you could like take to tournaments. So like, what happens when you hit two opposite directions? And in the worst cases where it wasn't accounted for, you could end up with things like, you can block and then also be inputting like a Dragon Punch motion, which requires you to press forward. So just like silly things that kind of let you break the way the game was supposed to be played, and did give you, honestly, if you played certain characters, a real advantage because you were just able to do things that you shouldn't have been able to do. And you know what happened is within like a year or two, every game that came out after the hitbox was a thing got patches or got released with parts of the code that accounted for SOCD. So pretty much every game now that you pick up, if you hit, they'll have something in the code that says like, if you hit backward and forward at the same time, you will always get one direction. You'll always get backward, you'll always get forward. A lot of games do like you just neutral. They just cancel out. It doesn't even register. Same thing, honestly, with the cross up. Like, all they have to do is put in some. If they want to keep that execution barrier, all they need to do is keep some, or put some, something in the game accounting for it. Like, I guess it's not as simple as just like when two opposite directions are pressed, but like they could obviously do something, or they could design it in a different way. There's also definitely a conversation to be had about whether or not that kind of an execution barrier is even like valid. I think it is, but some people would disagree with that. Yeah, I think that it's just like, I guarantee you, or I have a very strong feeling that any fighting games released in the upcoming years they already have some kind of a thing. Like, if it's even a problem, I feel like there isn't even that many cases where the cross-up is that much of a problem. But if it is, then they probably have things that account for it. And I think, the cross-up's been out for like, what, 2 years now? And there hasn't been any, like, here's the thing, you aren't seeing cross-up players dominating the tournaments, right? It's still stick, it's still pad, it's still, increasingly hitbox now. These, if it was actually that good, I think you would be seeing it a lot more. It's kind of like almost the case for wobbling in Melee, right? Like wobbling, it's like, oh, ice climbers get one grab, and then if they're properly desynced, or I don't even think they have to be desynced, I think you actually just have to hit pummel in like a certain rhythm. You just get an infinite like beatdown off of a grab. So like you get a kill because then you just throw, and you just throw them once they're at like 300% or whatever. And there's this discussion around like, oh my god, like that should wobbling be banned? And the counter argument that I always see is like, well, you're not seeing wobbling you're not seeing ice climbers are not top of the meta. Like, they're a fine character. I think they're considered mid-tier, but like the fact that they have a guaranteed kill off of a single grab is not enough to make them viable, or it's not enough to make them top tier, which is, I think, very telling. And there's all these, like, Iron Man's infinite in Marvel 2. It's like, without the infinite, he's a kind of mediocre character, but with the infinite, he's pretty good. She's pretty good, just because of like the guaranteed damage. Otherwise, he's not viable. And of course, there's the thing of like, well, he should have been designed differently so that that's not the only way that he can be viable. And I agree, but also the game's not going to get any. You have to look. You got to play it where it lies. All right, you can't. You got to play the game as it is, not how you want it to be or how it should be. I complain about Zappa and Plus R all day, but at the end of the day, I gotta deal with them. I fucking hate Zappa. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty much like, I don't think it's actually that big of a deal as some people make it out to be. I think a lot of people in the FGC are just very alarmist with like, oh my god, you gotta ban that. You gotta ban that. It's been that way ever since, throws in Street Fighter 2, where you would get punched in the head. Didn't Daigo have a story about, like, he got a knife pulled out on him in a Japanese arcade because he kept throwing people? He was like, deal with it. Why don't you deal with it? Take the throw, bitch. Yeah, just human nature, whatever. That was the comment review. I want to talk about, there was something very interesting from IGN. The top 100 video games of all time. This might be the rest of the episode. I have no idea. So the last time they did this list was in 2019. This was posted on literally last day of 2021. And it's interesting. I want to be clear. I have not read this yet. I've read, I think, the first 3 entries or 4 entries. And I said, oh, I want to talk about this on the podcast. This is going to be a treat to go through. I want to preface this by saying, please do not use this as any kind of an excuse to go on Twitter and harass IGN staff. I think that we can be allowed to clown on some very silly opinions or clown on some takes without having to resort to harassing people. We can stay in our corner. We can stay in our little corner and have a little giggle, but just know that, like, having an opinion about a video game does not warrant constant harassment. Right? It doesn't warrant anything. Anything like that. So we can have fun. Like, let's just keep it fun. Okay. So, IGN's top 100 games list encompasses the best of the best throughout history, spanning generations of consoles, PCs, handhelds, and more. I swear to fucking God, if M.U.L.E is not on this list, I'm gonna throw a hissy fit. Our list saw a major update back in 2019, and since then there have been several games released that deserved to be added. Very curious. Just as importantly, we looked at the totality of the top 100 as it stood and asked ourselves a few key questions. This led to some beloved games dropping off and other games we previously missed being added. Games in our top 100 have to measure up to a few key metrics. Okay, here's our parameters. How great a game it was when it launched. Okay, that's subjective. I mean, this whole thing is subjective, but okay, so that's basically like impact at the time, which is significant because that's like, even if a game in retrospect isn't that great, at the time it can be hugely influential, and for that reason you can say that something's important enough to put on a list like this. Okay, how fun it is to still play today. Okay, so how well it's aged, and how much the game reflects the best in its class. Okay. So this is... Wait, what? While past versions of this list have put a big emphasis on a game's impact and influence, we've essentially taken that out of the equation. What? What? Wait, what? How great a game it was when it launched. Then how? Then what? Then why even... What? Wait, if you're going to take out impact and influence, why would you even account for the quality when it launched? What do you even get from the quality? Isn't that just like... That's just nostalgia goggles, right? Unless there's like something I'm not thinking about. How great a game it was when it launched, but not the impact and influence it had. What the fuck? I don't understand this reasoning. Many games that left a mark and inspired future developers may not stand the test of time and be all that fun to play right now, or quite simply, they may have been surpassed by other games. This is a very weird list already. With all of that said, IGN's list reflects the current staff's 100 best games of all time, a collection of games that continue to captivate us with their stories, wow us with their revelatory approach to game design, and set the standards for the rest of the industry. Okay. Number 100, Borderlands 2. That's a very interesting number 100 choice. The original, let's see. What's their seamless continuation of the Borderlands lore? The writing. Okay, it's just a better version of the first game. Alright. 99, Divinity Original Sin 2. That's quite interesting. I haven't played Divinity, but I've heard it's a great game. 98. Okay. Okay. Here's where things are going to get controversial. 98. Final Fantasy VII. 97. Assassin's Creed 4. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Assassin's Creed 4 is better than Final Fantasy VII. What's the reasoning for 7's kind of low placement on the list? It's a landmark JRPG for a variety of reasons, but many of its achievements have now been lost to the winds of time and technological progress. Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Okay. Okay, most of the looks like most of the detail for 7 is positive, except that its achievements have been lost to the winds of time and technological progress. So Assassin's Creed 4 is better than Final Fantasy 7. And Divinity Original Sin 2. Oh boy. Oh baby. I want you to know that from now on, every single game on this list is better than Final Fantasy VII, according to this. Number 96, Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. Okay, Burnout 95, Burnout 3 Takedown. Oh, okay, I've never played Burnout, but alright. 94, Fallout 2. Okay. Number 93, League of Legends. Holy cannoli. Number 92, Mega Man 3. At least it wasn't Mega Man 2. Really? I fucking... You guys know me. I will go to bat for Mega Man 6 as the best on the NES. The best of the NES games. The NES Mega Man games, I should say. 6, in my opinion, is the best of the original Hexology. 3 is really good, though. I do really like 3's a fair choice if you're going to pick best classic series game. 91, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Okay, I don't know enough about Animal Crossing to say whether or not it's better than Final Fantasy VII. Thief 2, The Metal Age. Okay. 89, SimCity 2000. Okay. See, there's like a lot of like things of like when you have like 100 entries, it's like how do you differentiate, like how different really are number 89 from number 85, right? Like better than SimCity 2000, we've got Inside. Okay. Then Titanfall 2, that's going to make some people very happy. Number 86, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Wow. That's fair. 85, Monster Hunter World. I'm going to start scrolling through some of these. System Shock 2. Mortal Kombat 11 at number 82? Oh. Oh, my head is spinning. Oh, my head is spinning. Oh, my head is spinning. They're saying MK11's better than System Shock 2. Oh, it's saying Carlos loves better than System Shock 2. Oh, it's better than... Really? Really? There's no way that's better than Assassin's Creed 4. MK11 is quite simply one of, if not the most complete fighting games in existence. It's got one of the most impressive story modes in the entire genre. A highly respectable roster of 25 outstanding characters, 12 more added as DLC, a fantastic set of tutorial modes, an unrivaled set of unlockable cosmetics, an equally unrivaled... Man, this should have gone to fucking KI. This should have gone to Killer Instinct, dog. Number 81, Persona 5 Royal. Oh, okay, my head's getting... Dude, okay, I don't know what it is, but my head is starting to get light. Persona 5 Royal is the absolute best Persona has ever been. Oh, guys, I'm gonna pass out. Guys, I'm gonna pass out. Fuck. 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 That's the most IGN thing I ever read. Oh my god. The best personas ever. Have you. Dog, have you. Oh, come on. P5 is. Come on, like. The best one? Come on. No, come on. Number 80, Dark Souls. Okay, number 79, Fortnite. Oh, there's some Fortnite's better than Dark Souls. 78, Fable 2, 77, GoldenEye 007. Dude, holy shit, 76, Smash Bros. Ultimate. Dude, I'm getting fucking whiplash, dude. I'm getting taken for a ride like it's doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Holy fucking, oh my god. Let me just run through this real quick. GoldenEye and fuck, you're breaking your own rules. The first rule, the first sentence of the GoldenEye entry is, in 1997, GoldenEye was a revelation. Not only was it a more than decent movie tie-in, but it became the blueprint for console first-person shooters. That, you said that you're not doing that. You said that you're not counting by inspiration, by how much impact it had. You just said that. You just said that. Oh. Smash Ultimate? It's the ultimate Smash Brothers game. There's some people who are not gonna like that. Okay, 75, Spelunky 2. Fair. 74, Return of the Obra Dinn. It's fair. Dota 2 at 73, it beat League. That's really funny. Number 72, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Okay. It's like how... So this is my problem. You have Mario Kart 8 right above Dota 2 and right below Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong 72. Like, how do you even compare these games, right? It's like, a lot of my reaction to this is just... okay. Okay, alright. If you say so. Like, how do you say that Donkey Kong is better than Smash Ultimate? How do you say Donkey Kong's better than Fortnite? Like, how like, it's just apples to oranges at this point. Okay, that was 71. Let's see, 70. The Sims 3. Okay. Sure. 69, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. I don't actually know enough about Splinter Cell. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. Okay, at 68. 67, Silent Hill 2. Alright. 66, GTA San Andreas. Like, how the this is like the most comedic. You could not put 2 more different games back to back. You could not put 3 more different games back to back. Yoshi's Island, Silent Hill 2, and GTA San Andreas. 65, XCOM 2? 64, Control. Huh. 63 is COD 4, Modern Warfare. Okay. 62 is Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 2013 game. Okay. It's fair. Oh, I guess. Is it better than Yoshi's Island? I don't know. 61, Arkham City. Batman, Arkham City. Great graphics, great gameplay. 60, Dishonored 2. Okay, sure. 59, The Witness. Huh. 58, Journey. I haven't heard anyone talk about Journey in a minute. 57 is Uncharted 2. 56 is Overwatch. 55 is Apex Legends. I want you to remember that all these games are better than Final Fantasy VII. 54 is Hollow Knight. 53 is Miss Pac-Man. 52, Counter-Strike 1.6. Okay. Oh, alright. How did they... So, like, I'm reading the thing for Counter-Strike, like, CS 1.6, and a lot of the things are just, like, very personal. Like, Many of the things I value most in skill-based games I value because of Counter-Strike. Good level design, team-based dynamic, the dedication required to master it, a friendly sense of competition, and a solid sense of community. It taught me the joy of earning my victories in a game, but also the importance of learning from my failures. It's the reason I love first-person shooters and the reason I stuck by PC gaming at a young age, and I owe it all to its earliest iterations. Which is totally valid, right? That's totally a fair reason to love the game, but it's like, why does that make it 56 over... Sorry, number 52 over number 51, or over 53, or... Like, why? 51 is Left 4 Dead 2. Okay. Number 50 is Earthbound. Yeah. 49, Diablo 2. 48, StarCraft. How do you... 47 is World of Warcraft. That is so... That's so weird, because they said that, that's so weird. They said that it's not based off... part of it is how fun is it to play today. And everything that I hear about WoW is that the game sucks to play today. Number 46. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I'm gonna be honest, I played, I think about halfway through KOTOR. I didn't like it that much. It was fine. It was pretty okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, they fixed it. So 45 is Fallout New Vegas. 44... Final Fantasy VI. Let's fucking go, baby. Let's fucking go. 6 is the best one. Number 43 is Pokemon Yellow. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I just took the most upset shit of my life. You put Pokemon Yellow over FF6? Dog, come on. Dog, come on. Dude, come on. How? Why? What? Come on, no, it's not you can't. What's their reasoning? Okay. Before you could catch all 151 Pokemon, Pokemon Yellow first teaches you how to respect and care for the sometimes temperamental creatures. The game takes all the best elements... Really? Does it? The game takes all the best elements from Pokemon Red and Blue... Pardon me. And upgrades it to feel more like the anime. Oh, cool. The best change to the originals, of course, was a Pikachu following you around on your journey. Suddenly, the Pokemon weren't just creatures you summoned for battle. They become emotional creatures that accompany on your adventure. They're no longer just fighters you bring along. The small story elements that link Pokemon Yellow back to the anime were a fun way to let the player relive the beginning of Ash's journey. But ultimately, Pokemon Yellow is simply one of the best ways to experience the Pokemon universe. It's as simple as that. And that's better than... Come on, that's not better. How does that make it better than 6? Okay, at least Metroid Prime beat Pokemon Yellow. Okay. Prime is a sick-ass game. That game fucking rules. 41 is Skyrim. Man, if you had to do a back-to-back FF6 versus Skyrim, this is gonna be our new benchmark, right? Everything from this point on is better than FF6. Everything from this point on is better than Skyrim. And Metroid Prime. 40, Resident Evil 4. Okay. 39, Shadow of the Colossus. Okay. 38, Last of Us Part 2. Oh no. Oh, ooh, ooh, That's gonna be controversial. I never played that game. Probably never will. But man, that's gonna be that's gonna be very controversial. 37 Red Dead Redemption. Okay. 36 Metal Gear Solid. Okay. Fair. 35 Sid Meier's Civilization 4. Okay. 34 Ocarina of Time. Wait, not only did it redefine action-adventure games, but it completely changed the way the industry thought about 3D combat and exploration. You aren't ranking it based off of that. That you say that in the first paragraph or the second paragraph of the article. Number 33 is Minecraft. It's totally fair. Totally fair. I would put Minecraft on a top 100 list. 32 is Halo. Halo Combat Evolved. 31 Half-Life. Okay, that's kind of base. That's kind of a base decision. 30 is FF14. Huh. That's totally fair. 14's an amazing game. You should go play it. Number 29, Doom. Let's fucking go. Is Doom better? Is Doom better than Half-Life? Is Doom better than Minecraft? Is it better than Metal Gear Solid? I don't know. There's all of these sentences about the ways that like these games were innovative, but like that's not what we're ranking them based off of. 28 is Tetris. Really? Huh. That's pretty low in my book. That's pretty low. 27 is Metal Gear Solid 3. Huh. Okay. 26 is Half-Life Alyx. I've never done Half-Life Alyx. Maybe it's that good? Maybe it's better than Tetris? I don't know. 25, oh, God of War 2018. Huh. Okay. 24 is Chrono Trigger. It's interesting. And 23 is Portal. 22 is Street Fighter 2? See, this is the problem. It's because, like, they explicitly said it's not based off of influence or impact. And I think that, like, when you look at Street Fighter 2, like, is Street Fighter 2 the best fighting game ever made? The first sentence calls it the definitive fighting game. They say, what can you say about the definitive fighting game? It's like, yeah, incredibly influential, incredibly important. But, like, the best? I would argue otherwise. I feel like even Street Fighter players would argue otherwise. 21 is Smash Brothers. The original? Okay. Oh, Mario Brothers. Pfft, I'm too stupid. I thought it was Smash. Super Mario Brothers. Okay. And better than Super Mario Brothers at number 20 is Undertale. And better than Undertale is Bloodborne. And better than Bloodborne is BioShock. Really? That's very interesting. The Last of Us is at number 17. Witcher 3 is at number 16. Why do I feel... Ooh, we're getting to the top 10. Why do I feel like... do I know where this is going? Is this just going to be big blockbuster games? Number 15, Halo 2. Okay. Number 14, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I have a lot of mixed opinions on Symphony of the Night. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I have a lot of mixed feelings on Symphony of the Night. It's a very interesting game. I do think it's a masterpiece. I don't know, I've heard a lot of people say that, like, What's the one on the GBA? It was in the Advanced Collection. Harmony of Despair? One of those. It's one with Soma. I've heard some people say that that's the best of the Symphony of the Night styles, but... Alright. Number 13 is Hades. Huh. 12 is GTA 5. Whew. Whew. That's, I don't know. There's some clashing opinions there. 11 is Super Mario Brothers 3. Number 10 is Disco Elysium. Okay, we're in the top 10. Number 10, Disco Elysium. That's fair. That's fair. Number 9 is Half-Life 2. Okay, it's fair. Number 8 is Red Dead 2. Feeling RDR2 combines Rockstar's most authentic and lived-in open world ever with its most earnest storytelling to date, filling in the gaps with an astonishing array of deep systems and nearly endless emergent gameplay opportunities. There's there's, I don't know, really? The 8th best game? I don't know. I'm sure some people really liked it, but I don't know. I'm not really one for open worlds, and especially Red Dead seems like it's like a game. It seems like, okay, the best way that I heard it put was that Red Dead 2 is a game where you play it and you feel like you're constantly having an argument with the developer. Where, like, you want to do things and the game just will not let you. It's like, I've actually heard it, a lot of people say that it's the worst in terms of being, like, the scripted, of this like, highly scripted Rockstar games, that, like, the direction that their games have been going recently. 7, Super Mario 64. Dude, if fucking M.U.L.E isn't on this list. If they can bring it home, if they can at least put it on the list in, like, the top 5, please. It hits all the criteria. It hits all the criteria. When it released, it was fucking groundbreaking. It was one of the first, like, real excellent multiplayer experiences. It's aged amazingly. You can play M.U.L.E is a better economic, like, board game than Monopoly. I mean, yeah, M.U.L.E isn't a board game, it's a video game, but, like, M.U.L.E is like, it's a better way to, like, teach your kids economics, like, basic economics, than Monopoly is, or something. It's so much easier to understand. It's so fun. There's so much, like, you can play that game with the CPU, and you can have a freaking blast. Like, it is so much fun. It's so good. It's aged so well. It was so good when it came out. It's so fucking influential. Number 6, Mass Effect 2. Number 5, Super Metroid. Number 4, Zelda: Link to the Past. These are all the kind. You could fucking put these in any order. Number 3, Portal 2. Okay. I'm so scared. Number 2, Super Mario World. Fuck, what do I think number 1's gonna be? Persona 5. I really liked hanging out in Japanese high school with my anime friends. Fuck, what would number 1 be? We've already done Ocarina of Time. We've already done Mario. We've done fucking Tetris. We've done Half-Life 2. We've done... what else? Like, all the we just did Super Metroid. What else is left? We did Symphony of the Night. All the obvious picks. What's number 1? Are you fucking serious? Oh, it's Breath of the Wild. Really? Okay. The game's been out for like, when did that fucking game come out? Breath of the Wild. When did that game come out? 2017. There's been like no time. Really? You can call it one of the best games of all time? Really? I don't know, man. I feel maybe this is just the way that I am, but I don't feel comfortable putting games on my best of all time list that are like more recent than like 10 years. Right? Like I feel like it takes some time. Fucking M.U.L.E isn't on here. These people don't know shit. Learn some shit. Isn't it like interesting how like so much of the list ends up skewing towards games from like the last like 2 console generations? I'm not saying that amazing games haven't been released, but it's like, why? It's like, or it's like, you know, I think it's because it's like it's like, you know, recency. It's recency bias. It's you know, recency bias. It's trying to, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's just, I think that's what ultimately what it comes down to. It's like, this is the hot thing when you're kind of like swept up in the moment. This is the hot thing. This makes sense. This is fresh in my mind. And then there's some people who are like, oh yeah, you know, System Shock 2. You didn't put fucking M.U.L.E on the list. That's bullshit. This feels like if this list was made in like the 90s, this feels like they would put like Karateka. Feels like it would have Karateka on the list. Go look up Karateka. They would say something like the revolutionary. It blew my mind when I was a kid. The revolutionary animation techniques. I think Karateka is an interesting game. It's very like its own thing, but yeah, I would never put it on a top 100 of all time. This was such a fucking trip. Let's read some of the comments. A lot of great games in this list, but there's no game that could ever be the single best game of all time that everyone agrees on. I agree with that. Breath of the Wild is an amazing game, but I certainly wouldn't call it the GOAT. Its lack of unique dungeon/boss design and identity kept it from being even the best Zelda game, IMO. Someone replies, the only game I think can realistically be called the greatest game of all time is Minecraft. Not only is it the best-selling game of all time, that is not a real argument, but its cultural impact is enormous. That is an argument. And its impact on future game development is unparalleled. Yeah, I mean, Minecraft was huge in the fucking... that's a whole different conversation. Plus, it's such an impressively broad game thanks to everything you can do with Redstone. That's fair. I think Minecraft definitely belongs in the best of all time. The problem, and I touched on this, but like okay, so like here's someone saying like Breath of the Wild was very boring for me. I did not enjoy it at all. Played it for a little over 100 hours trying to get into it. I never call a game bad unless I actually give it a chance. And although I wouldn't say Breath of the Wild is bad because it's not a bad video game, to me it was boring, bland, and repetitive. The irony is, IGN doesn't even have my favorite video game of all time on their top 100. My favorite game has been generally agreed upon to be the first or second best game in an extremely popular series. I'm not going to name it because people will hate just for the sake of hating because I said naughty things about Breath of the Wild, even though, whatever, I'm curious as to what All right. But I think like that's a valid point. Like okay, at the end of this is the problem with like any kind of list like this. Is that like you can't. The list is called the top 100 video games of all time. So there's some kind of idea of quality, right? So how are you measuring quality? One of the problems with games or really art, doing anything with like art in general, with like ranking it, is that ranking is objective, but art is subjective. So you have to kind of like bend the rules of one or the other. So you can say my favorite games of all time, and like, you know, I can't argue with that as long as you have some kind of an argument for it. You can say my favorite games of all time, or you can say like this is the top 100 games, well, pardon me, of all time, ranked on, I don't know. You have to like, make games more objective than I think that they are. I've talked about this before, but I think that games as a medium are actually much more similar to music than any other medium. I think that games, like the way that people enjoy or the way that games fit into people's lives is a lot more similar to music than something like film or television or books or theater. And like music is so subjective. It's literally just like, it clicks with my brain. Like sometimes you play a game and it just clicks with you, right? So like for instance, like them, like let's look at the top 100. Like let's see if we can find any commonalities. So Breath of the Wild at 1. Red Dead Redemption at 8. Okay, so it's actually not as much, but like if you look at a lot of the games on the list, it's like GTA 5, Witcher 3. Okay, okay. I thought I was gonna say it was skews a lot more towards open world stuff, right? So for instance, I don't really like open world games. Like, I try to play open world games, I just end up getting bored. I like, for me as a player, like I am a very like goal-oriented player. Like I like it when you give me some kind of a goal, you give me a mission that is clear, right? And within that parameter, like within that objective, you give me a variety of ways to solve the problem. It's one of the reasons I love Blood so much, is because the combat system allows you to be so creative. Like, your goal is always the same. Kill the enemies, get to the end of the level. Or, with all these little objectives in between, like, oh, you need to get a key to open the door or something. But the objective is always the same. The objective's always the same, but the way that you get to the objective is really up to you in a lot of cases. You do have the freedom to be experimental with the way that you use weapons, with the way that you, like, you toss the dynamite around the corner, the way that you, like, switch between weapons to, like, hit stun and then shotgun and then blah, 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 blah. All this stuff to get to your goal. That is the type of game that's really exciting to me. One of the reasons I love Tetris so much is that you have one goal. It's just get score, just get points. Make rows and get points, right? But there's such an infinite number of possibilities for how that happens, right? And you are constantly being presented with problems that you need to solve, and you have so many ways to solve them. Like it's a completely closed system. It's amazing. It's such a beautiful game, because the problem is the new piece that's coming down. You have to figure out where this piece is going to go. But then, so you have how many different ways can you put the piece down? A lot, you know, and that gets there's even more possibilities depending on the state of the board, right? Is there an opportunity for me to like get a row here? Do I want to build something, like start building rows to like maybe capitalize on getting like a long piece later on, something like that? Do I want to set up for like a T-spin? Do I want to do this or that? These are like exciting, interesting decisions, and they're always changing. That's like a type of game that is so interesting to me. Like that grabs me in a way that's something that an open world game, like, or a sandbox game, like honestly I get bored of Minecraft like really fast. I have this cycle where like every 6 months I'm like, I want to play some Minecraft, and then I play it for I don't know, maybe I put maybe 10 hours into it, maybe, and then I inevitably like overextend into a cave. I die, I lose all my items, then I go, fuck it, I close the game, and then I don't open it for another 6 months. That's my cycle with Minecraft. So like I don't have that much interest in like sandbox games. Like you put me in them and they say do anything, and I'm like, but why? Why would I do that? And the thing is like, you know, I would consider myself a creative person. Like there's a lot of things that like I feel compulsion to create, to satisfy like a part of my personality, right? But like games are not a way that I feel that specific kind of creativity is not like, it doesn't work for me. Something like writing or making videos, those are like creative outlets that are very like fulfilling to me. Something like a sandbox game or an open world game is not. It's just like, what purpose do I have to do any of this? Like I don't feel any motivation to do them, right? To do any of this stuff. And usually if I play an open world game, I just end up going with like the most direct, easiest way to play. I played like I put like maybe a dozen or so hours into Fallout 4, I think. And guess what I did? I got a sniper, and then I would just hang back and I would snipe enemies, and I would pick them all off from like 100 feet away. And that's how I got through the whole, well, not the whole game. I didn't finish it because again I got bored, because I just didn't feel motivation to do. I felt like I was going around doing whatever. I didn't feel much motivation to do anything. I'm sure that if I played Breath of the Wild, I would probably have a, I don't know, maybe it would be different. Maybe it would be different, and I would play Breath of the Wild and I would be so inspired, and I would want to put 1 billion hours into it, and I'd want to explore the whole world, but something tells me that it's just not my kind of game. So like, what, like I could make like an equally strong argument for why fucking, what's number 100? No, not Borderlands. I can make an equally strong argument for why, I don't know, let's just jump through this list quickly. Frickin' FF6, right? Metroid Prime. I could make equally strong arguments for those games. I can make arguments, I just made an argument for Tetris. I could make an argument for 14. I haven't gotten through all of 14, so I can't say anything. I could make an argument like that for Doom. Blood's not on the list. It's kind of whack. Yeah, this list is pretty whack. it's got some like decent picks, but like it's like at the end of the day, it's like how do you even compare some of these games? How do you say that? How do you say that Hades is better or worse than GTA 5? They're right next to each other on the list. How do you say that? How do you say that GTA 5 is better than Minecraft? How do you say that it's better than Star Wars KOTOR? Like how? Let's read some more comments. I don't know. Oh yeah, someone says, I realize a lot of the higher-ups at IGN grew up with Nintendo, so there's a lot of nostalgia associated with their games, but 4 out of the top 5 seems a bit much, no? Very little PC. Fucking Ultima, no, there's not a single Ultima game on this list. I just realized that. Ultima 4, Ultima 7, nowhere to be found. Fucking Rogue's not on here, fucking... There's so much. Oh my god. Oh, I'm remembering all these games are coming back to me. No, what the fuck? Goddamn. Oh, you're telling me fucking Assassin's Creed 4 is better than Ultima 4? Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, there's there's stuff that's better. Hang on. There's so little PC representation. There's a Thief game. There's System Shock 2. I guess Dota and League. Holy crap, there's like no PC representations. Counter-Strike 1.6, World of Warcraft, was Civ 4 on console? No, it was, okay, so that was PC. No, Minecraft's on console. I still kind of think of Minecraft as a PC game. Half-Life. Okay, Half-Life. That's, and Half-Life 2, of course. Man, it's criminal how little actual PC representation is on this list. Again, like no M.U.L.E, fucking no Ultima, no, there's not a single Dragon Quest game on here. This list is so whack. Let me just like refresh my memory. Give myself a quick memory refresh on like some classic PC games. Quake's not on there. Grim Fandango. Myst isn't on there. Quake 3. I'm just like running through things that like you could have totally... I mean, come on. Fucking AC4 is on the list. You can't justify Quake. Yeah, man, like... Is Oddworld on here? Was Oddworld, Oddworld played on... Well, that was on PlayStation, wasn't it? I'm just looking through, because there's, oh my god, like the Deus Ex! Deus Ex isn't on the list! The heck? What the heck? What the heck's Deus Ex? XCOM 2 is... I'm actually not a huge fan of the original XCOM. I think it's kind of slow. It's just me. I'm like, so... Dude, consider my system shocked. Yeah, man, the more that I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, you couldn't have justified Dune 2? Dune 2 is still fun. Oregon Trail's not on there. I'm just looking at all these lists, like, you can justify so many of these. Right? Like, it's not even funny. It's not even funny how huge of a blind spot there is with, like, I mean, like, you can see just these, like, inherent, like, right, like, you can see, like, these are games that, like, I see them, I'm like, dude, of fucking course you would put this on a top 100 of all time. Of course. But, like, from someone who just has, like, it's clear that, like, the IGN staff just doesn't have a lot of people who are up on, like, PC gaming history, right? There's a couple well-known ones, but for the most part, it's, like, very lacking. Like, there's so, like, it skews so heavily to consoles. Oh, StarCraft, I guess, and Diablo, but, you know, the bias is obvious, right? And obviously, like, this isn't anything worth getting actually upset about. This is all just fun and games. But it is, you know, it's like, that's the inherent problem with this kind of a list, is that you can't make any kind of a definitive games of all time list without, like, actually, I don't know, like, if it's gonna be of all time, actually be of all time. Like, of course, it gets headlines, and I'm gonna link to it. Let me check out the 2019 list. Pokemon Go is at number 100 in the 2019 list. That's ballsy. Man, they love... Man, Borderlands 2 at 99. Divinity Original Sin 2 at 98. FF7 at 96. AC4, wow. They really didn't change it. They really put AC4 at the 95th best game of all time, and they just never changed it when they updated the list. Let's see if there's any interesting... Undertale. Did Undertale not make the list? No, Undertale made the list. It went up quite a bit. Undertale's at 20. On the old list, it was at 91. Wait. Huh? How do you have a game be at 91 in the last list, and then it had suddenly jumped up, like, 70 places? Did games get worse? What? I don't understand this. League of Legends at 90, Mega Man 3 at 89, Soul Calibur. Okay. It's alright. Insides on that Contra was at 84. Fine. Resi 2 Remake. Vice City. Did they just swap out San Andreas for Vice City? Theft Auto. 5. San Andreas. Yeah, I think they just swapped out Vice City for San Andreas. Persona 5. Huh. Okay, okay. 77 is Fortnite. Fable 2, 76. Yeah, I'm just gonna speed through this. Anything that really catches my eye. Suikoden 2, 71. Donkey Kong 65, Sims at 64, Rock Band at 63. Okay, you could probably make an argument for that. Silent Hill 2. Oh, San Andreas is also on this list. So they didn't just swap it out. They just took out Vice City. Okay. Witness, Journey, Uncharted 2, Overwatch at 50. Deus Ex is on this list. Wait, was Deus Ex isn't on this? Why would you take Deus Ex off of the list? Why did you take it off the list? Baldur's Gate 2? I'm noticing like a little more PC. Counter-Strike 1.6 is still on here. Diablo 2, StarCraft, WoW at 40. KOTOR, New Vegas, FF6 at 37. It's actually higher. It went down? Mass Effect 2 at 36. I never realized how awkward Shepard's head looks in the cover for Mass Effect 2. Pokemon Yellow at 35. Okay. Let's just kind of go through. Civ 4 still on there. Ocarina of Time at 25. Minecraft at 24. Halo at 23. Half-Life at 22. So it's kind of going in the same direction. Last of Us at 20. Doom at 19. Where was Doom at up here? Doom was at like... It was in the top 10, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Where was Doom? 29? How did... Doom went down. Chrono Trigger, Portal 17. Dark Souls at 16. Street Fighter 2 at 15. I debate that, but okay. Symphony of the Night at 12. GTA 5 at 11. Do you think GTA 5 is better than San Andreas? Red Dead at 9. Half-Life 2 at 8. Tetris at 7. Mario Brothers at 6. Breath of the Wild was at 5? Wait. What was at 1? Super Metroid at 4. Portal 2 at 3? Link to the Past at 2. And Super Mario World at 1. Wow, how so? But Super Mario World went down on the list. This is so bizarre. I mean, again, like it just shows the subjectivity of this entire concept. Because it's like this is the current staffs. I don't know. This whole deal is silly. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Oh, okay. My voice is getting kind of tired. I guess this really is just going to be an entire thing of just me ranting about IGN's silly 100 games list. Again, like, don't harass anyone over any of this. I gotta stretch over any of this. It's obviously just their opinion. It's just like when you throw, I don't know, over a dozen people's opinions into a blender, it just comes out into this extremely inconsistent mush. Would you believe it? Like, I'm sure if like any one of these single writers or staff members were to write like their own top 100, top 50, top 20, top 10 best of all time list, they would all make like they would obviously be very different. But they would make more sense, right? Like, it makes no fucking sense to put AC4 right above Final Fantasy VII. Like, it makes no sense. How? I don't know why Control is so high on the list. At 64. I don't know how Control is better than Silent Hill 2. Yeah, and it only ends up... The only time I feel like you only start seeing consistency once you get into like the top 10, where it just starts to be like, Nintendo, 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 Nintendo. Nintendo, Nintendo, Valve, Nintendo, Nintendo, Nintendo. This was a goofy ass list. Maybe someday I should make my own like top 100 games of all time list. I should probably do that. I want to go play Ultima now. Actually, I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood to play an Ultima game, just because I've remembered it. God, those games are so important. I mean, there's so many things missing from this list. It's like, dog, you fucking, how did you not put... I'm going to keep reminding people that M.U.L.E exists until it gets like a proper remake. It deserves it. Like, really, it's such a good game. It's such a good game. Seriously, like, go play M.U.L.E, like, get an emulator, go play M.U.L.E, sit down with your family, fucking have a blast. It's actually so fun. It's so primitive, but it's so fun, and like it's so deep, and it's deep while being simple. It's one of my favorite kinds of games, honestly, right? One of my favorite kinds of games. If you thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone who has been enjoying all the stuff that I'm putting out. Thanks to everyone who's supporting the whole channel on Patreon. That's really cool. As I speak, I have 3 patrons, which is like super rad. I don't know. It's great. It's cool to have people supporting me like that. It's really nice to just feel like, you know, people who just honestly like what I make. It's great. If you have a question, leave it down in the comments below. It has to be phrased as a question, or else I'm not just gonna read your thoughts out loud. Yeah, I'll definitely try to get to that next time. I hope you guys know that, like, if you ask like weird questions, I'm not gonna answer them. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much. I'll be back next time. Bye.